Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko. Happy to be with you here. Times are good for the Buffalo Bills. My guys are here. Tariq, how you doing?
If only people knew we were talking about off air. That's
Oh, there's nothing to hide. We're going to get to it.
It's a better show, actually.
All right, so we put the Charger game aside because timing made it impossible for us to do this show and also talk about that game. What concerns me now about the Buffalo Bills is a dichotomy between all these games that they've had to play under pressure. That on one hand, it's momentum. On the other hand, it's a series, a difficult game, and you can wear out. Which way do you think you're going?
Well, it's so interesting. What concerns me is that the Bills lose that game against the Chargers, and we're talking about like how is that possible? But back past that, can they peak too early? Yes, they can. But they can also hold on, Duffy. They can also ride with everything they've gone through this NFL season. With everything, I still say was a takedown job of McDermott earlier in the year. Same Von Miller controversy, all the different things. Defensive coordinator lost them before the season started. Offensive coordinator lost them during the middle of the season. No more Brady jokes now. I have to say, they could ride this all the way through to an AFC Championship game if they can continue. Listen, you've got the Chargers. Miami is beatable. Listen, the Kansas City's not what they used to be. You beat them, got payback there. I mean, Baltimore in the playoffs is a beatable team. It can go that far.
I just want to clarify what I said because I feel like, well, you're hot to go on this thing. Mm-hmm. Is there examples in NFL history where, like, and I think of an old Pittsburgh Steelers team that was in between the Super Bowl years for them, that many consider the best roster that they ever had. They got off to a bad start. They had to win, got down to the stretch, and they were out of gas. And then on the other hand, there were the New York Giants who beat the Patriots, the undefeated team in the Super Bowl, by doing the same thing the Bills are doing, getting hot late, just getting in, and then sweeping to the playoffs.
I would just like to point out this entire season, I've been telling both of you, while you were screaming at me the house was on fire, that everything was fine and they were going to figure it out, which they have. They have scored over 30 points 2 of the last 3 weeks. They went in at Arrowhead and got a win, got a defensive stop against arguably the greatest quarterback of his generation in Patrick Mahomes. And you guys want to start the show with, well, can they continue to do it?
It's one or the other.
Let's be very clear on something you just admitted, though. The house was on fire.
It was not.
It was.
It was not.
Really? Then why did you fire an offensive coordinator?
Look, I'm still not great with that decision. I'm really happy with what Joe Brady has been doing. I do think that was an overreaction. The point that I'm making is this. I would much rather have the Bills streaking now than be 7-1, 8-2, and then all of a sudden hit their rough streak, because that's what they've done the last couple of years.
With 3 games left,
yes,
they were in 9th place.
Okay, but the number doesn't matter, and I think we all know this. We've seen this over and over and over again. The number place you're in doesn't matter. You get to 10, 11, 12 wins, you're totally fine, and the Bills have the opportunity. In fact, I think a really great chance at getting to 11 wins and winning the effing division. And I'll look in the camera again, because I said it 4 weeks ago and you laughed at me. The audio's there. The Bills are winning the AFC East.
I saw that coming too. Stay within the game of Miami, you've got the shot.
Well, I can still laugh at it if Miami can win out, but we'll wait and see what happens. Their schedule is terrible, to your point, to which you made last week about that. But to my point of running the football, which Cook did an amazing job and won the game for it. If I would have told you going into that game that your star quarterback, who needed a game in which an NFL running back on his team would take over and he wouldn't have to work, you would have said, nope, it's got to be Josh Allen. He's the star. He's the player. He's the one that's going to do it. If I went in and said to you, under 100 yards, barely a touchdown pass or score, and your running back takes you all the way to the win against the Dallas Cowboys, what would you say?
I agree with you. I think if you would have told me his stat line, I would have thought the Bills got beat by 40, right? Yep. Josh Allen's. But here's the thing. It's a unique circumstance for a unique team, right? Because the Cowboys were already soft against the run. They were missing a massive defender down the middle, and their best player is a pass rusher. I commend Joe Brady for sticking with the run the way he did, because no other offensive coordinator in the NFL, and you guys know this, like with Josh being able to check out at the line like a golden retriever, itching to chuck that ball down the field, and Joe Brady knowing the weapon he has, the fact that they committed to that run game was astonishing. You're not going to win that way consistently. I don't care what you say.
But you don't need to.
And you're right. It's great because all of a sudden, they learned how to run, and it's scary.
All right. This is the Rochester Press Box. Talk Buffalo Bills and making picks next. Just passing through. Life lessons from notable Rochesterians. People you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension. J. Mack and Soccer Sam. Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck. Along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you. Our NFL Pick segment in the Rochester Press Box, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and official sponsor of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Picks segment, the NFL games, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And Greg Connors, as always, joins us on the segment. Greg, how you doing? The standings for these picks has tightened up a little bit.
Oh, it's gotten tight. Tariq's sitting all by himself up top. You know, it must be lonely up there, Tariq.
No, it's not, because you guys are right next to me. It's literally one game away.
And this guy wants you to know that
do you guys,
he was lagging, and he's now right there.
Do you hear that? Are those footsteps I've been telling you were coming for the last 5 weeks? I'm sorry. Let me just sit back. I'll enjoy my lead next week. My lead next week.
So, Greg, look, we got the Bills playing on a Saturday, so they're kind of off limits for us because the game is complete by the time this hits the air. So we're going to work that Ravens-49ers game, the last one on Monday. It's at San Francisco. The 49ers are 5.5 points favorites. How do you see it?
You know, I see this as a huge challenge for the Ravens. Is the 49ers defense as good as it looks? I think it is. I don't think the Ravens can put up greater than 6 points on the 49ers. 49ers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be by 10 points or more, so I'm going with the 49ers.
Super Bowl preview, do you think? I mean, these two are the top seeds right now, and who's going to stop them?
That's the way it looks, but I think with this win by the 49ers, it's going to show the weaknesses of the Ravens, and then I think the real Super Bowl preview will be the 49ers, and then the team they're going to be playing will be playing on Saturday night in California, just further south.
But the Chargers are out of it.
Doesn't make much sense to me, but you might be onto something there.
How do you like that game?
I have to say, you know, Baltimore's got some proving in the playoffs to do before they actually get to a not only AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. So that makes a bit of a question mark in the AFC. I think the 49ers are ready to go in the NFC. If you have to go to San Francisco to win a game, I don't think it's going to happen. Do you want McCaffrey or do you want Debo? Basically, it's what you want. You want to knock out with the left or the right? Because if those two guys are healthy going all the way with Purdy, I think that they're going to the Super Bowl.
I like your reasoning, but I like Baltimore on the side of it because I think of the regular season game, they've got a lot more to prove. With the Eagles losing, the Niners are really in the driver's seat in the NFC, and there's no pressure on them to win this game. So I'm taking Baltimore with the points.
I like that logic there, and I think Baltimore, to your point, having something to prove. I mean, they don't have a marquee win this season. They've been beating up teams in their division, but nobody in their division is any good. I don't care what people are going to say about the Browns defense. I like Baltimore to keep it within 5. I do.
All right, let's come back around. Who you got secondarily?
Lions, Vikings. I've been fading the Lions all season long, but they're only favored by 3, and they have a legitimate chance here to do something in the playoffs. I'm going to take the Lions for the first time this season, and I got them with the 3 points.
On the road, I see the Cowboys bouncing back at Miami, so I'm going to take points in Miami.
I will go the other way. What? I think Miami at home against Dallas. Dallas still has trouble on the road. You convinced me of that last week before the Bills win. I think they still have problems on the road. Weather is better, but there's something about this Dallas Cowboys team that tells me they cannot play on the road, and I think Miami's offense is too dangerous.
It's not going to be cold down there. I mean, Dallas has to at some point play a
I'm with you.
They have to do a lot of things, but they don't seem to do it when it's crunch time.
Greg, give us a second game.
Yeah, I'm going with you, Bill. I'm going with that Cowboys team coming off of this embarrassing loss against the Bills going into Miami. Miami will continue the streak of not beating a team that has a winning record. And I got to tell you, Duffy, the Lions have broken my heart this year. I think they're going to break your heart this year. It's going to give me a little space going into the last 2 weeks.
Oh, can we please save this so I can rub it all over my chest when we get back here next week?
We save it every week. Don't you watch it on YouTube?
It's a great point. That's a really good point, Tariq. Thank you for bringing that up.
Greg, you caught the first segment. The whole debate about this team either picking up momentum down the stretch or else hitting a wall because they've had to win all these games. Which side of that fence you fall on?
Yeah, I'm a momentum person. I'm all about when you catch that momentum and you get that confidence and you roll with it.
Greg, closing comment?
The big game on for the holidays for me is that Cowboys at the Dolphins. That's going to be the big game for the AFC East crown, and I'm really pulling for the Cowboys this week.
All righty. Thank you, Greg, as always. Hey, congratulations to Cortland State winning the Division III football championship, which is kind of cool. Our pick segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Maybe you've been here before, maybe this is your first time. It's always a great getaway. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'll take you inside the gorge at Watkins Glen. Look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here. This is the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips is a game changer. No appointments are needed, and you can stop by a Rochester location today. Tariq, like it or not, Syracuse football in the news lately.
Well, there's a lot of different players coming in, top recruits coming in. I think they got McCord from Ohio State to convince over. I guess the coach is a really good recruiter, and it's showing so far so good. I might be a little bit more interested in going to see Syracuse football than I am Syracuse basketball over the next 2 years.
Yeah, you said you saw the press conference that you were impressed.
Very much so. I think he came in direct. I think there is a bit of pressure, though. Unfortunately, it's the Deion effect, where guys are coming in saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the whole program. The transfer portal, I know Chip Kelly's upset about it and all these other different things that go along. But when it benefits you, it can definitely benefit a small program that's looking to change things. Guys and players that maybe see the writing on the wall that they're not going to be the starting quarterback, go into a brand new environment. It has worked so far. I mean, Russell Wilson transferred, worked well for him. So this is a great opportunity, but I thought he made an unbelievable impact on college football for Syracuse. I can't wait to see him play.
The ACC is a little soft. I mean, is there a path to quick success here, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. And look, I disagree with the pressure part. I understand what you're saying about Deion, but when it comes to Syracuse, the biggest problem has been recruiting. You got to get kids to come up and play in an antiquated stadium in temperatures of negative 20 degrees in January. They gave Dino Babers, 7 years to get it right? This guy's going to have time. He knows it. He's got time to build a roster. 5 years from now, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I mean, like you said, the ACC is not a dominant conference anymore.
Weather's terrible, but you're playing a dome for crying out loud, so it's not as bad as people may think.
It's walking from class to the dome to get to practice.
Wait, they go to class?
Very nice. Like it or not, I believe that Damontae Kazee, the Pittsburgh Steelers, got suspended for the rest of the year for a bad hit on a wide receiver last week.
The hit was horrific. The reaction from the NFL was brilliant because it's been a lot of lip service the last decade as they're trying to eliminate, the hits. And you hear a lot of stuff, the old school guy, it's not the game that it used to be. I want to see Boomer Esiason's brain fall out on the field after Bruce Smith whacks him. The fact of the matter is the game is better when these players are healthy and available. And if you want to see the best football we've ever seen in the history of the league, you have to police like this, right? Like players say they can't make an adjustment on a dime. Well, we've actually seen them do it. And now that they know that they have $250,000 worth of game checks because of suspensions on the line, I'm willing to bet that all of a sudden these hits really start to disappear.
You got any sympathy for the defensive backs and defensive players in general as to how difficult the league is making it for them to play?
It's been a terrible year of injuries, and some of these injuries are horrific to watch. I never understood an old school guy basically saying, it's not the game we used to play. I'm like,
Well, you know who's funny? Who's old school guys? Tom Brady is coming out saying,
oh my God.
He says it was partially the fault of the quarterback for the pass he threw.
Yeah, by the way, why don't we go back and watch some highlights of him chucking balls to Julian Edelman in the Super Bowl? Where was the random concussion spotter on that one as you led him right into the face mask of the defensive back? But I digress.
Go ahead.
No. I think you guys basically made my point in the sense of if you're not playing anymore, there's this sort of it's not the game it used to be. Well, it's not the game it used to be. It's slightly better because we're trying to protect the players that are on the field for long term. And by the way, some of the guys are the way it used to be don't look too good a shape.
Look at Earl Campbell, for God's sakes. But the point I'm making, of all the people to say that, Brady, they changed the rules because of you. J.P. Lossman had his knee blown out by Vince Wilfork 2 years before it happened to Brady. And it happened to Brady and they changed it. You can't hit below the knee. Shut up, you soft old man.
All right. I Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
No wages in here.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. It is time for Unfinished Business. Pat.
What James Cook did against Dallas gives us an opportunity to appreciate one of the greats of the past, because over 200 total yards, 2 touchdowns between receiving and rushing, and 179 yards on the ground is amazing. And that's something that Thurman Thomas did 9-10 weeks of the year, every single season in his prime. Now, I know there are Bills fans under 30 years old watching this that never got to watch Thurman play, period, let alone play in his prime. The man won an NFL MVP, and he was the prototypical original catching balls out of the backfield running back, a guy that wasn't drafted in the second round because his knee exploded while he was at Oklahoma State, and he was in front of Barry freaking Sanders. The man, for as brilliant as he was, never got what he deserved when it comes to credit, because the offense that he played in with a whole bunch of other Hall of Famers, the guy that followed him in Oklahoma State who won a Heisman and wiped out all the things that he did there before, and the fact that he ended his career in Miami, which I'm still not over, but Thurman, we can talk about that later. Look, man, when you watch the tape of James Cook and what he did against Dallas and go, wow, just keep in mind, that's what Bills fans during the Super Bowl years got to see week in and week out. And that's while the defense was dominating. And Andre Reed and James Lofton and Don Beebe were making unbelievable catches. And Pete Metzelaars was just in the end zone wide open for some reason. Watch what James Cook is doing and love him as he's ramping up to this playoff run. But take time to remember that that's what we had every week with 34.
Expanding the NFL season has been discussed so many times and over and over and over again. Now, a couple weeks ago, I told you I had an idea to possibly expand the NFL season by basically having the AFC and the NFC take off alternate weeks to rest players. Let's be real. We've got a lot of good quarterbacks. We've got a lot of good running backs and players still playing football, but we don't have the stars. Why? Because we don't give them the rest. I'll give you Jalen Hurts, for example, an MVP-type quarterback, took his team to the Super Bowl last year, but he's played too many games and taken too many hits. The old school way of football has to be able to change. I would advise we not only extend the practice squads, but extend the season an extra week yet again. We want stars to be in these games. We don't want second or third string quarterbacks, no offense, Jets and Giants fan, I'm a Giants fan, being on and determining whether or not we win fantasy football games. There's enough studying that goes on and enough betting on games that go on. So give the star players and players enough rest possible so we can get the best quarterbacks, running backs, defensive players on the field. I just am saying, another bye week would be suggested. That's why I'm harping on it again.
It was one of the greatest achievements in Rochester professional sports history. On a Monday night, September 13th, 1999, the Raging Rhino soccer team won the U.S. Open Cup. It was a first, and quite possibly a last. The U.S. Open Cup competition has been in existence since 1913. It is literally an open field. Any team, amateur or professional, registered with the United States Soccer Federation is eligible to compete. In 2023, 99 teams gave it a shot. 14 of those last 16 teams standing were from Major League Soccer. The Houston Dynamo won it. It was the 22nd consecutive time that an MLS team had claimed the cup every year since Rochester took it in 1999. And what a run that was. The Rhinos won 5 tournament games, 4 straight against MLS clubs. The 2 games played at Frontier Field each drew over 10,000 fans. It was the heyday for this team. Toughest ticket in town. Talk of building a new stadium and joining MLS themselves. The players, Biello, Alna, Miller, Andraki, Onstead, Tanner and Tilley were local legends. The Open Cup was unprecedented, culminating in a 2-0 win over the Colorado Rapids. Well, last week came the news that MLS would no longer compete for the U.S. Open Cup. There was a lot of hand-wringing over the decision, which was universally panned as traitorous to American soccer, history and tradition and all that. But really, hasn't MLS outgrown the U.S. Open Cup tournament? There's nothing to prove. The players aren't interested in it anymore. It's all for show. Remember how we all felt when the Baltimore Orioles stopped playing an exhibition game against the Rochester Red Wings? Or Major League Baseball cut the legs out from under the Batavia Muck Dogs by dissolving the entire New York Penn League? And how we'll feel when the Buffalo Bills finally pull training camp out of St. John Fisher College, which they will someday. It's called progress. Progress produces perpetrators and victims. The little guy is always the victim. That's our unfinished business, and that is our program. So you're bringing up an extra bye. Do you think that will really help?
I think so. I think you have to expand your rosters. You have to understand your superstars. You need your superstars. You're marketing them now Thursday through Sunday into Monday, for crying out loud. You're asking them to play on Saturday and playoffs. I think you need that extra rest.
The NFL won't kick having a 19-week season. What do you think?
I mean, you could do something unique. Like if you give everybody off 1 week to get healthy, put like the most premier college game on Sunday, sponsored by the NFL, and let you see who's going to be the top draft picks of next year. I think it could work.
Oh, that is our program. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week at the Rochester Press Box.
He agrees with me. It's too much to bet on. It's too much fantasy football. It's too much everything.
Well, plus you're getting an additional week of revenue from the end. They're going to figure out a way to play games in that spot.
Yeah.
So.